Hey class, just want to say a few words on week three. I'm sorry, week five. Um, so we're doing special topics on crime and transgression. I want to break up the kind of monotony a little bit, offer something a little bit different, more discussion oriented. And so I figure it's appropriate for us to talk about broken windows. It's been a broken window style policing, and you know, get tough on crime type of policing. And so um, it's been highly controversial throughout the United States. Broken windows and get tough on crime approaches have been used at different times in different places throughout the United States, uh, mainly in large urban cities. Um, and so there's a lot of research that you can do for that, things that you can read. I gave some suggestions in the introduction module as well as in um, the discussion board. And so, um, yeah, so we're going to focus on crime and broken windows. To my knowledge, and hopefully there'll be a lot of debate ongoing this week. But to my knowledge, generally speaking, get tough on crime approaches and broken windows approaches have been pretty much debunked as effective towards eliminating crime. Um, in other words, get tough on policing. It might increase crime rates, but it doesn't decrease crime. It just means more people get arrested, but it doesn't actually decrease crime at all. Um, and so uh, one can make a good argument that all forms of get tough on crime policing and any form of broken windows policing has been useless in preventing or stopping crime. Yet when you read all the newspapers on cities that experience high high crime rates, the only solutions they ever talk about is more cops, more cops, more cops, get tough on crime, get tough on crime. Nothing about reducing poverty, nothing about reducing inequality, nothing about reducing social exclusion, um, nothing, nothing about um, having a universal healthcare system, nothing about having strong labor unions, nothing about having a $20 minimum wage, nothing about making real structural changes that ease the suffering and desperation of so many people. Nothing about that. It's always more cops, more cops, more cops, and it's done nothing to solve the problem of crime. Um, and so, but hopefully there's some pushback there, and I hope that maybe you can find some evidence that argues against what I'm saying here. Um, so that could fall to some lively debate. And so some of the links I provided to you, there some are for and some are against broken windows policing and get tough on policing strategies. But one article that's required to read here is Chris Hedges. Make sure you read that. Broken Windows Policing gave rise to Scorpion unit that killed Ty Nichols. And so, really good article. He's a pretty good writer there. And so, um, he even argues Scorpion was modeled after the bogus theory of broken windows policing. He provides a link there, so you can click on that thoroughly debunk the idea that if cops make arrests for minor offenses, it will prevent the commission of serious ones. And that's basically broken windows. Arrest people for small infractions, very minor offenses, and this will stop the larger crimes from happening. And so, interesting to check that out. Um, okay, and so it's a very good argument that he puts in there. Of course, there's different types of arguments. He even talks about how broken windows policing is not race neutral. He says we can't reform our way out of systemic racist policed violence. I've already talked about the history of policing with you, at least a little bit there, and we know that the police have been around since the very beginning. Part of their job was helping in the genocide of Native Americans, keeping slave rebellions down, fighting against labor unions, uh, fighting against, police have always been used to fight against the American people. Every time the American people fight for their workers' rights, environmental rights, women rights, gay rights, it's always the police cracking people's skulls. And so, um, it's probably not an accident that today we have a highly militarized police force um, that oftentimes looks at the community the same way that a soldier will look at um, a foreign enemy. And so that's part of the reason why I teach human rights policing to law enforcement around the United States. And I wrote a book on human rights policing where I talk about how we can use sociology to apply the sociological imagination to policing and actually transform policing from an institution of social control to an institution that protects the human rights of all people. So I check that out. And then I also have a video for you to watch. It's of a 14-year-old kid in New York City, my old stomping grounds, where he was stopped and frisked by the police. And so watch that whole video. There's even some videos of former colleagues of mine. I used to be a professor at John Jay College of Criminal Justice in Manhattan. And so they interview a John Jay professor where he talks a little bit about that, especially like with even things like quotas. Yeah, police don't technically have quotas, but of course there's a lot of pressure for them to make as many arrests and citations and tickets as possible. So you don't need to have a quota. There's an informal one already in place. Informal. So check all that out. Some of those links, you can use those links that I provided in your discussion boards. Make sure that you reference the links that either I've provided for you or you reference the authors. Um, and also reference whatever research you do on your own. Um, looking at the discussion board now. Yep, so it's all there. So yeah, click on it, look at the stuff that I sent you, find some of your own stuff, but I think you'll enjoy it. Hopefully you will enjoy this conversation. Again, make an argument for or against human rights, I'm sorry, for or against this, the broken windows approach to preventing crime, to get tough on crime strategies to prevent crime. Again, make sure you cite the readings, use stories, and use examples to illustrate all your points and substantiate all your arguments. And I look forward to a lively and interesting debate. So keep up the good work. And if you need anything, let me know. Thank you very much. And let's continue strong this week.